master a craft. They never master a skill. Since the beginning of times, anyone who made headways is someone who mastered an art, a craft, that they did it so well that no one else could do like them. And as a result of focusing from one deal to the other, we shortcut it. We compromise often in standards and quality, trying to meet the deal fast enough. Looking into our days, Jesus warned, be guard against all types of greed, for a man's worth does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. Luke 12:15. Money that is easily gotten easily disappears. Proverbs 13:11. Anyone who makes millions at the expense of conscience is a failure. And maybe the reason we keep looking for deals is because we have a wrong definition of success. We have reduced success to one parameter, money. I like the definition of our Nightingale. He says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. When you realize that, then you realize success is not a destination, it's a journey. You enjoy the journey so much that when you reach the top, you don't realize. It's other people who talk about it. It's other people who say you're rich or wealthy or doing well, because you're preoccupied with a certain mission. There's a craft. There's something you want to do so well. You want people to enjoy the service or the product. Misconception number 10. A lot of people believe success depends on the business type or the career path you pick. And if we believe it's about the career, we keep on shifting careers, or we keep on coercing our children into certain careers. We push them to pick certain career paths, or we keep changing from one business type to another. I have seen two people side by side, one succeeding, one failing, doing the same business. Two people who open restaurants, same street. Hardware, same street. Electronics, same street, side by side. It's not about the business location. It's not about the business type. One succeeds, one fails. And definitely as we walk through this journey today, I'll be showing you different people who succeeded in different fields of endeavor. So I want to suggest it is lack of direction. It is not about the business type you've chosen. It is because you spread yourself too thin. You try something for 6 months, it doesn't work, you try the next business. It doesn't work, after 1 year, you try the next business. You see, a focused brain, a focused mind lasts for a lifetime. I want us to shift some gears now. Are you ready? We shift gears. You know, some farmers in Indonesia have a unique way of killing monkeys. They pick a jug and they put some peanuts inside the jug. The jug is made in such a manner, it has a thin neck. Let me use this bottle for an example. The neck is thin. So they put the nuts down there. So the jug, the monkey can put the hands in, but then there's a problem. Once it takes hold of the nuts, the heart can't get out. The only secret for the freedom of this monkey is to release the nuts. The heart is thin enough for the monkey to escape. Unfortunately, the monkey can't release the nuts. The nuts are too tempting. So the farmer comes right there and kills the monkey. As the monkey is struggling because the jug is grounded so firmly. So the monkey is struggling and struggling and struggling. It wants to run away, but it can't release the peanuts. Because the peanuts pay the school fees. Because the peanuts pay the rent. Because the peanuts take you for a holiday. And the monkey dies there, holding on to the peanuts. And the monkey loses sight of the cashew nuts and the coconuts and infinite possibilities that life can give. There was an estate where some monkeys were sitting on a transformer and causing blackouts time and again. And the residents decided they must teach the monkeys a lesson. They decided to put a banana on top of the transformer and a live wire across. The very first monkey to go up there, it was given such a huge electric shock. It went dashing to the ground, never told the neighbors. The next monkey went up there, had a similar awful experience. One by one, they went through that ordeal. You know what? Finally, the farmers removed the live wire and left the banana, and none of the monkeys touched that banana. Do you realize oftentimes we never change when we see the light, we change when we feel the heat? Do you realize most of us have to feel the pain for us to change? It took a while for Jonah to get into his purpose. For some of you hearing my voice tonight, it will take a job loss for you to get into your purpose. For some of you listening to me here tonight, it will take your house to go on flames for you to think outside the box. You see, there comes a time when the risk to remain in the bud is more painful than the risk to blossom. There comes a time when the risk to remain the same is more painful than the risk to change. And therefore tonight, I want to suggest a 7-step procedure for you to prison break. Step number one, manage transition. Manage transition. If you need to transit from an employment state into business, let me throw some 6 quick suggestions right here. The first one, stop whining. Realize no one will ever change your circumstance. You're responsible for your destiny. Number 2, decide your why. It's only when your why is so strong, you're going to weather the storms. Your why will power your aging to move to your next level. Number 3, do your transition maths. It will take approximately 18 months for you to stabilize. If you get into business expecting to be fed by that business, you are likely to fail even before you begin. That means if I were you right now, it might mean exploring possibilities of moonlighting, or going around my job to renegotiate with my employer to work on commission basis. But I've got to be clear in my mind, it's going to take approximately 18 months to stabilize. Number 4, be the incurable learner. Leaders read, and readers are leaders. You see, a lot of people want to improve their circumstances, but they don't want to improve themselves. A lot of people have good intentions, but they are not intentional. We want to fight change, but we are doing nothing about it in terms of our personal growth and development. This is the essence of Sense 11 Life Club. To equip, to mentor, to coach in life skills. And I want to suggest this. Growth is never incidental. It's a deliberately choreographed maneuver. It doesn't just happen. It is caused to happen. Step number 5, you've got to take action. Action is a bridge between thought and reality. He spent his entire life studying success in a longitudinal study. And finally, Napoleon Hill concluded the number 1 reason why 25,000 failures he studied, why they failed, was one word: inaction. Inaction. We call them, where I come from, the gonna-doers. They build castles in the mind. They keep on saying on the apartments they're going to put up. They keep on imagining about the ranch they're going to build. They imagine about a transport business they're going to launch. They are called the gonna-doers. You've gonna take action. And number 6, you need a mentor or a life coach. Someone who can journey with you. Someone who can walk with you. You've got to be careful. Never be mentored by a loser. Have you ever realized people who are broke are very quick in offering financial advice? Just like football fans, they somehow seem to know how to kick the ball than the 11 players. And you know, the challenge of asking people who have never tried anything to advise you, they always have a reason why it's going to fail. If it hasn't worked for them, why should they be selling failure to you? Do you know 2 medically trained doctors following the same procedures can arrive at 2 totally different conclusions? That's why you must always go for a second opinion. You should not allow any one single individual to determine what you can or cannot do. This is debilitating to your very being. Especially if you have rare gifts. You cannot be attended by general practitioners. You need a specialist to listen to what you want to implement. Because you could be having a very unique business idea that no one around you can understand you. But as you transit into business, I suggest you soul search to be sure you've got the good reasons why you want to transit. Because there's some bad reasons. For instance, maybe there is someone here, the reason they want to get into business is because they hate their boss. Or they're not passionate about what they're doing. Or maybe they want to work for less hours. If that is you, you'll be in for a rude awakening. Business is not a safe landing for the sluggish and the sluggard and the slothful. It is not a safe haven for the lazy. You'll be required to work extra mile. On the road to success, there is hardly any crowd. Let me say this. If you're working for someone and you're hearing my voice, could be a bank, could be a hospital, could be a county government or the national government, could be a private company, a flower farm. Many of them are in here in Nanyuki, hotels. You are town endowed with tourism. You could be in the military in our midst. Listen, you never work for someone. You could be serving a pastor. You never work for someone. You never work for anyone. Someone else might give you the paycheck or the pay slip, but you never ever work for anyone else. If you discipline yourself to do more than you're paid to do, you eventually earn more than you deserve. Right in this life under the sun, excellence, the spirit of excellence has a way of being recognized. You'll always stand out from the crowd. You never work for someone else. Your current employer might not reward you for what you deserve. But I know this from my own experience and that of many other people. If you consistently decide to do more than you're paid to do, every single assignment you have, you go the extra mile, you'll eventually earn more than you deserve. It's always greener where you water. Does that make sense? But there's some good reasons why you need to transit into business. Maybe you're here listening to my voice. You have some unique skills that you want to exercise and you have outgrown your current locus. Maybe you have seen some solutions to your customers and perhaps they're even going to follow you. Maybe you are attracted by challenges and you want to test your prowess. Perhaps you have some leadership qualities, your ability to sell yourself, to market yourself. If you can't sell, you're not an entrepreneur. Maybe you have some abilities like the ability to manage yourself and to manage others. You can deliver high-end services and products. Then you have the right reasons to transit. As you do that, I caution you tonight, do not burn relational bridges. You know, far too often, we build walls and we destroy fences. Your fire-breathing departure rant will not change your former boss. When you play with fire, you can't be sure what's gonna burn. And even if you don't burn, you still smell smoke. Do you realize you'd rather use your pent-up passion moving forward? It's a waste of time trying to prove that the other people are wrong. You know, giving people a piece of your mind often leaves you without your own peace of mind. And never say never, because you never know when life will humble you to come down the same bridge. And even if you don't need it, someone else in that company may need the same bridge that you're destroying. So there's no point. In any case, some of the customers you're serving in that corporate might be your first customers when you step out. Does that make sense? Step number 2. Be bold. Step out. Be bold, step out. In the year 1519, General Hernan Cortes, with 600 Spanish soldiers, took on a voyage to the Newfoundland, a huge plateau, Mexico. And on this conquest, they were conscious that over 600 years, some conquerors who are more endowed with resources and heavier machinery had miserably failed in their attempt to attack the Yucatan Peninsula. So when he finally landed in the land of the Mayans, a land that was endowed with many resources, gold and silver and Aztec jewels, he did something phenomenal that might as go down the annals of history as the epitome of brevity, the embodiment of fortitude. He told the soldiers something very unusual. Burn the boats. They got the stuff out there. The land was so vast, that was like a death wish. But with those 3 words, he destroyed the means of escape. He shattered the possibility of retreating. They reached a point of no return. A point of no return is a point at which going back is physically impossible, prohibitively expensive, or even dangerously fatal. The only way out is to move forward. I've got some water here. I'll tell you what I've observed in this country. I don't know whether this is true for Nanyuki. This is how we behave in business. We want to do some butchery, some hardware, some restaurant, some barber shop. We put some 20,000. Let's see how it's gonna boil. If it boils, I'm gonna add some 5,000. If it works, I'll add some other 10,000. Let me ask you, if I keep putting some drops and then put my water on the stove, what happens to the water? It evaporates. There's only one way to have my water with increasing temperature, is to pour all the water in the glass and put it on the stove. This idea of trying, let me see what happens to 5,000. If it works, I try 10,000. Let me tell you, every single coin you're trying will evaporate. There's nothing like trying business. You either do business or you're out of it. It is true for any venture, whether it's a ministry, whether it's an NGO you're starting, it doesn't matter. Unless you put your 2 feet, someone said a radical is someone with his 2 feet firmly rooted in the air. There's only one way out, to step out. You know, the fear of failure keeps most of us on the ground. What is on the other side of fear? Fear is the main obstacle and barrier between you and your success. I would rather have a child who is fearing the darkness rather than an adult tonight who is fearing the light. Because I often wonder, suppose you feed your faith, that will starve your fears to death. When your fear outgrows your faith, you will never succeed anything. Fear insults your own aspirations. How then do we overcome fear? First, I suggest there is nothing worth fearing. Everything just requires you to understand it. Rather than fearing the storms, study how to sail the ship. You know, my dear friend Tabitha and her husband Karonja decided to confront East Africa breweries. This was the largest company in East Africa for many years. Safaricom is a latecomer in this side of the world. Castle Lager, a farm-ash company, came and failed. But they decided we can't have a monopoly in this industry unchallenged. Starting from their house backyard, they decided to dare the giant. They started an industry they never understood. The husband was in hardware. Tabitha herself was working in the Ministry of Tourism, Utalii House. Nothing is to be feared. Everything is to be understood. Nothing is impossible. That word impossible says, I'm possible. And the second way to overcome fear is to avoid the fearful like plague, because fear is a contagious emotion. In fact, when you come across a fearful person, don't walk away from them, run away from them. They will translate and transfer negative energy to you. Never expose yourself to the fearful. You see, when there is faith in the future, there is power in the present. Focus on where you're going, not on the present status. You've got to step out. I repeat, action is a bridge between thought and reality. Unless you step out, you're living in fantasy. Yes, I suggest you've got to have a course of action. Because again, a vision without action is chaos. But again, action without vision is also fantasy. You've got to take that step and make your move forward. Be bold, step out. Number 3, are you there with me? Decide exactly what you want to do. Decide exactly what you want to do in life. Look at me, everyone. Can you see my face? I want to cut a tree. I'm holding an axe. I want to bring a tree down. I'm going to swing my axe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I keep my axe down. Today is Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. I pick my axe after sharpening it. Same tree, same spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I keep my axe down. I'm not going to swing it 15 times or 20 times or 100 times. I'll only swing it 5 times. I repeat on Sunday. I repeat on Monday. I repeat on Tuesday. I repeat on Wednesday. The whole week. Next week but one, I repeat on Monday. On Tuesday, please speak to me for the first time. I haven't asked you to talk to me. Speak to me for the first time right now. What will happen to the tree? The tree will? I can't hear you. One more time. The tree will? Okay, let's try the last time. The tree will? Thank you. Some trees will take 2 years to come down. Some trees will take 2 months to come down. Some trees will take 2 weeks. Maybe there's a tree that will take 2 hours. But surely as the day follows the night, the tree will come down. The challenge in this country, people try one tree today, they get tired, they keep the axe down. They try another tree, they get tired, they keep the axe down. They try another tree tomorrow. At the end of the year, they have tried 10 trees, their hands are full of blisters, but no tree is coming down. They try a bit of hardware, they stop. A little bit of gas cooker, they stop. A little bit of petrol station, they stop. A little bit of selling clothes, they stop. At the end of the year, they have tried 10 trees, but no tree is coming down. And they keep saying business doesn't work. Let me look for a job. You don't need a job. Stick to the tree. I have 5 guys I've looked up to in my life in the order of their impact and influence in my life. Number 1, Zig Ziglar. Number 2, John Maxwell. Number 3, Rick Warren. Number 4, the late Miles Monroe. And number 5, Jim Rohn. They have no idea that I exist. But I've been their students. And one of them, who does exactly what I do, and I look up to him from a distance, one day said, he identified his 5. Every day he reads, every day he writes, every day he files thoughts. Every single day he does critical thinking. And then every day he asks himself 5 critical questions before speaking to an audience. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my eureka moment. And from that day henceforth, I purposed, I wrote down what he said, I shared with my mercy, and from that day, every single day I read, every day I write, every day I file thoughts, every day I ask myself critical questions, and I do reflective thinking. Do I do that on Sunday? Every Sunday. Do I do that on Christmas? Every Christmas. How? Because there's no longer work for me. You see? You know, there's something interesting about life. You can be passionate about something that you don't do. But you cannot excel on something you don't love. My 5 are clear. Every so often someone tells me, let's sell petrol. Let's sell books. I've had an idea. Let's start a microfinance. I say, I know my job. I know my tree. Every day I read. Every day I write. Every day I file thoughts. Every day I do critical thinking. I couldn't come before you. In fact, I had over 6 hours thinking yesterday. There's not a single statement I'm telling you tonight accidentally. I had 6 hours where I was just thinking through this message. And every single day, I'll do reflective thinking and ask myself critical questions. The question I was asking me when I was coming here, anyone who is employed, what are they looking up to? What about those people who are in business? What are they looking up to? What about someone struggling in business? What about someone who is succeeding in business and is in this meeting? How will I reach their spirits? I have to answer those questions. Every day I read, every day I write, every day I file thoughts, every day I ask myself critical questions, and every day I do reflective thinking. I ask you a question. What are your 5? What are your 5? But even more importantly, what is your tree? Have you identified your tree? One of the Forbes magazine I was reading, they wrote about the Fortune 500 billionaires in the US. They wrote many things, but 3 of them struck my attention. They found out, number 1, the average billionaire in the US made his money between 20 and 30 years of effort doing the same thing. 20 to 30 years. Same tree, same tree, same tree. 20 to 30 years. Number 2, they found out that the average billionaire in the US made his money supplying basic human needs. There was no skyrocket idea. It was about water. It was about clothes. It was about human medicine. It was about shelter. There was no skyrocket idea taking people to Pluto. Number 3, they found out that the motivation of the average billionaire in the US was not to make the money. It was to meet their family needs. They were accidental billionaires. They never set out on a mission to make the money. They wanted to take their children to good schools. They wanted to give their families relative financial stability. Then I thought, would this hold true for Kenyan entrepreneurs? So I took on a journey. And I booked an appointment with some of the leading Kenyan entrepreneurs. And I documented the story in this book. There are many stories about these people. Let me pull out 3 of them. David Mwita is the owner of Moran Publishers, the former Macmillan. He was in charge of books, a library captain in high school. When he left school, he taught for 2 years. And then finally, he joined Macmillan for 26 years. He stayed there. Have you been blessed by this video? Please like and share with family, friends, and colleagues. Great people are either sources of light or they are mirrors that reflect the light. Be a channel of blessings to others. And hit the subscribe button to enjoy thousands of my videos free of charge.